Support WrestleTalk!
Make WrestleTalk.com your homepage for all the latest breaking wrestling news. Last night's episode of Raw saw United States champion Sheamus take on Humberto Carillo in a match that would likely set up a title defense at Sunday's WrestleMania. As Backlash. Because, as last night's episode of Raw showed, what better way to build title matches than do the title matches 6 days before the pay-per-view on free TV? Despite a typically intense performance from both men though, the match suddenly ended after Carillo hit a sunset flip powerbomb on Sheamus from inside the ring onto the floor outside, where Sheamus appeared to have fallen directly onto Carillo's hips or knees from the ring apron. Carillo immediately tensed up and rolled over, while both Sheamus and the official covertly tried to talk to him. Humberto seemingly signaled something was wrong, and the referee called for the bell to do a double countout. Sean Ross Sapp has confirmed on Fightful Select this was not the planned finish, and an audible was called to end the match due to a legitimate injury. Thankfully, both the Wrestling Observer and PW Insider have since confirmed Carillo is fine following the show, and would be capable of wrestling tomorrow if he wanted to. But the US title might have another new challenger soon. Dave Meltzer has reported that NXT's Velveteen Dream was backstage at last night's Raw, suggesting there are plans to debut him on the main roster. Dream hasn't wrestled in WWE since the 23rd of December episode of NXT, with his late 2019 and 2020 being marred by several controversies, including a car accident, having an arrest warrant issued against him for allegedly smashing a car window, and several unconfirmed accusations of sexual harassment. Accusations he's denied. WWE claims it didn't find anything following an internal investigation into those accusations, but that hasn't quelled the fan sentiment, with many still calling for him to be fired. How do you think Dream will be received on the main roster? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'll be replying to as many people as I can for the first 15 minutes after this video goes live from out of nowhere. Following news that Daniel Bryan's career-losing stipulation on SmackDown against Roman Reigns was a shoot, with his WWE contract expiring shortly after WrestleMania, Ringside News has confirmed there is open communication but no rush from either side from WWE to get Bryan to sign a new deal. There is apparently a full-time backstage role open for him as a producer-writer, but Bryan doesn't want a full-time job behind the scenes. He's said to be enjoying some well-deserved time off right now, with SummerSlam going around as a possible return time. But this is pro wrestling, and WWE will presumably be very anxious until Bryan officially re-signs. There's been many instances in the past where a wrestler or girlfriend says one thing, like they just want a break, and you and WWE believe them, and then they turn up at Double or Nothing a couple of weeks later, or in a Facebook album with Tony, just like Jon Moxley did in 2019. The Double or Nothing thing, not the Facebook album thing. And it just so happens there's a Double or Nothing at the end of this month. Speaking of Summerfest, PW Insider has revealed the biggest party of the summer outside my Golden Mile pub crawl will take place on August 22nd, while Fightful Select is reporting NXT's next TakeOver show will be on June 13th, with the return of TakeOver in your house. Make WrestleTalk.com your homepage for all the latest breaking wrestling news, including Sanchez's article on 8 wrestlers we want Daniel Bryan to face outside WWE. And you won't believe number 7. Well, you might do actually, I was just saying that to get you excited. But for now, here's my review of the WrestleMania Go Home Raw for Backlash in about 5 minutes. Thanks for your support on Patreon, WrestleTalk's personal ring announcer Rodrigo Benitez and the cleaner Kenny Shah. So I've been off for a week, I wonder what's happened on Raw. Oh, absolutely nothing. The show opened on WWE's most infuriating, nonsensical feud of the year so far, which, as if the repetitive, illogical booking of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose wasn't enough, we now have Voodoo Shenanigans. Voodoo Shenanigans, title of WWE's next gimmick pay-per-view. Alexa Bliss and Lily suddenly appeared on the ramp halfway through the match on a full playground set, which made everyone look really dumb in the ring, as they either presumably saw that all being set up and were surprised, or worse, it kayfabe teleported there. And shortly after, Baszler's leg suddenly crumpled, letting Asuka get the win, which I'm presuming is Bliss using Lily's voodoo doll gimmick to take out people's limbs in matches. Charlotte booted Asuka in the face afterwards, because of course she did, and then everyone stood around awkwardly while Bliss laughed for ages. Damn, the Singh brothers got jacked in lockdown and changed their faces. Jinder Mahal made his return next, flanked by his new faction team Indus Sher, where he beat Jeff Hardy clean in just a few minutes. This match had already happened on last week's episode of Main Event, showing you exactly what WWE thinks of Jinder's new faction and Jeff Hardy. Matt Riddle and Randy Orton remained the best thing on Raw, winning a fun 8-man tag with the New Day against AJ Styles, Amos, Jackson Ryker and Elias. And best of all, hitting RKOs on the New Day for being annoying afterwards, Stone Cold style, while Riddle just stood there like, you. Unfortunately, after that came the Sheamus vs Carillo match, which saw Humberto injure his leg and the match called off. It was a shame as Carillo was showing some really great babyface fire, and Sheamus was wrestling with his typically excellent level of intensity. Eva Marie got 2 video packages for her new Evolution return gimmick, which can be summed up as 4 women, 4 cars. Shelton and Cedric wrestled as intensely as they could, this presumably being the throwaway blow-off to a year-long relationship, but no matter how great they looked, I couldn't get invested. All I saw was missed potential, them being dropped from the tag titles, then the tag division, them from the Hurt Business, and now each other in barely a few months. Shelton actually ended up winning to get over the younger talent. Drew Gulak confronted Angel Garza backstage and legitimately said, as a babyface, Garza did last week what no one has ever done to him in his career: embarrass him. Completely unrelated, here's a photo of Drew Gulak losing the 24/7 title to R-Truth after being pinned in a dumpster. I'm all for serious Gulak, but do it in a way that doesn't treat the viewer like an idiot. It's WrestleMania rematch time! Rhea Ripley took on Asuka in a singles match ahead of their 3-way this weekend, also at WrestleMania. There's Backlash, which was good, I guess. Their counter work is pretty slick. I just feel like their matches are missing something. It's a Charlotte Flair, don't worry, I fixed it. Just add a Charlotte Flair to it. But I'm humble enough to admit that one of WWE's more annoying women's division booking defaults for the last several years, add a Charlotte Flair to it, is actually injecting some much needed life into the Plan C feud of Asuka and Ripley, which is all down to the fact that Charlotte is a heel now, making this an effective use of the fans not liking her. Flair was obnoxious on commentary, and it was hinted that her and definitely not Raw general manager Sonya Deville booked the match in the first place to tire out her opponents for Sunday, which kind of works as a story in isolation, but looking at Raw for the last 2 months, this match felt incredibly repetitive and significantly undermined that title match between them in just 6 days, as Rhea just beat Asuka, her challenger, clean. When there was a perfectly good Charlotte Flair right there, I thought the whole point of her being there was to interfere. But why do a bad idea just once? John Morrison versus Damian Priest also felt incredibly repetitive and an extra layer of painful. Unlike Asuka and Ripley, who do feel like they've traded wins and are just stuck on a treadmill to nowhere, Priest feels like he's decisively beaten Miz and/or Morrison every week since January. There comes a point, especially with new stars, that staying in the same place actually creates backwards momentum. WWE's speciality, getting under new stars. Priest overcame multiple Miz interference spots, pinned Morrison, and chased off Miz afterwards, further establishing how far beneath him they are, which meant Damian got to choose a lumberjack match for their pay-per-view stipulation. And once, twice, 3 times bad booking. Ahead of the Universal title triple threat this Sunday, we also got a singles match between 2 of the 3 competitors in Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. A match, mind you, that Braun Strowman felt like he was specifically added in to avoid. McIntyre and Lashley had good action as always, but I'm over their feud now. Strowman power slammed Drew for the DQ, teased aligning with Bobby after MVP had secretly talked to him earlier, but then power slammed him too. But in the Big Show closing angle, Strowman then went up to MVP and seemed to shout in his face, and I've checked other people heard this so it wasn't just whatever Freudian projections exist in my head.
I wanna bust you with this cane, but instead I'm gonna make you watch me f your boy right now.
And then proceeded to power slam Bobby through the barricade. Which is actually a lucky break compared to what he just threatened. What did you think of Raw? Let me know in the comments down below and vote in our poll on a poll match on the community tab where you can choose between I'm just grateful Team Arcade Bro exist and did Strowman just say he was going to MVP's boy? So I guess T-Bar and Mace have returned to their home planet. Maybe it's because I had a week off from Raw and I come back less burned out from its relentless awfulness. But I thought this Raw was fine by recent Raw standards. It was repetitive, uninspired, and did a terrible job building Backlash. But all that was still far more watchable than the show's post-Mania run. This week's Raw is average. Now find out how Triple H is taking over SmackDown Backstage. This is just the latest example of Hunter and his NXT team making their influence felt on the main roster, possibly foreshadowing a time when they're officially given a brand to make their own, with Pritchard rumoured to be overstretched covering both Raw and SmackDown.